Doom is a Tony Stark variant. Dr. Doom doesn't need an origin in the MCU. He already has one. Variants don't exist to repeat characters. They exist to show what happens when a single variable changes. Tony Stark is the most tested variable Marvel ever wrote. Intelligence, resources, ego, and a constant need to control outcomes. In most timelines, Tony corrects himself. In at least one, he doesn't. That version doesn't die, saving the universe. He survives long enough to decide that protection isn't enough. Control works better. Doom fits that profile cleanly. Same problem-solving instinct, same intolerance for chaos. Different conclusion. The MCU has already shown that Stark tech scales faster than morality. Ultron proved that. Damage control proved that. Even Tony's death didn't dismantle his systems. His logic outlived him. A Stark variant becoming Doom wouldn't be a twist. It would be a continuation without guilt. It also explains why Doom doesn't announce himself. He wouldn't need to. He already knows how heroes think. He built the playbook. For more videos like this, subscribe. Thor loses Mjolnir. Mjolnir has never belonged to Thor. It's tolerated him. Worthiness in the MCU isn't a permanent state. It's conditional, reactive, and situational. The hammer has already moved past gods, past bloodlines, and past power levels. It responds to alignment, not strength. Thor's alignment has been unstable for years. He abandons leadership. He rejects rulership. He walks away when responsibility becomes fixed instead of temporary. Each time, the MCU reframes it as growth. The hammer doesn't. By Doomsday, Thor isn't unworthy in a dramatic sense. He's misaligned. He wants freedom. Mjolnir requires commitment. Those are incompatible states. The loss wouldn't be explosive. No rejection scene, no dramatic failure. The hammer simply stops responding. Another hand lifts it. Or no one does. Thor doesn't die because of this. He keeps Stormbreaker. He keeps power. What he loses is authority. A god without a symbol doesn't anchor teams. He drifts. In a crisis that requires structure, Thor becomes peripheral. Spider-Man is removed. Peter Parker doesn't die in Doomsday. He's erased. Not forgotten again. Not hidden. Fully removed from the active timeline. Spider-Man is uniquely exposed in the MCU. No legal identity, no institutional anchor, no legacy protection. He exists as a variable without documentation, oversight, or containment. That makes him incompatible with a system trying to stabilize itself. In a reality correction event, unstable variables don't get punished. They get cut. Peter doesn't lose a fight. He doesn't make a mistake. He's simply present at the wrong moment when the timeline closes a loop. No one notices immediately. His absence registers later in small gaps that don't trigger alarms. No one searches for him because no one remembers there was something to search for. This doesn't undo Spider-Man. It relocates him. Another timeline, another layer, somewhere the MCU doesn't follow anymore. Doomsday doesn't kill Peter Parker. It deletes him from relevance. Wanda is a wild card. When Scarlet Witch shows up in Doomsday, the strange part isn't what she does. It's what she refuses to do. Everyone else in the MCU still operates on sides. Avengers, threats, allies, Wanda doesn't. After everything she's done, she no longer treats collapse as something that automatically requires intervention. That's new. Instead of jumping into the conflict, she stays adjacent to it. She observes. She intervenes only when something crosses a line she personally recognizes. Not a rule, not a mission, not a moral code the Avengers agree on. From the outside, that looks like hesitation. It isn't. Wanda understands something the others don't yet. Whatever Doomsday is, it can't be won in the usual way. Stopping it completely just creates something worse down the line. So she allows damage to happen as long as it prevents a larger correction later. That makes her unpredictable, not because she's unstable, but because she's no longer aligned with anyone's definition of victory. Doctor Strange dies. Doctor Strange doesn't survive Doomsday because the story can't function if he does. Strange is an informational bottleneck. He sees outcomes. He recognizes patterns before they escalate. His presence collapses uncertainty, and uncertainty is required for what Doomsday is setting up. The MCU has already reduced his operational role. He's isolated from the Avengers. His authority is questioned. His decisions are increasingly self-contained. That's not character drift, it's containment. His death wouldn't be heroic. It wouldn't be sacrificial. It wouldn't even be central. It happens early, possibly off-screen, possibly as a consequence of something already destabilized. No time loops, no last-minute reversals, no warnings delivered. Strange doesn't get to explain what's coming. And once he's gone, there's no one left who understands the rules well enough to stop them from breaking. Sam Wilson isn't meant to survive. Unlike every other major player, Sam has no redundancy, no variant safety net, no multiversal importance, no cosmic relevance. He exists entirely inside a single outcome. That makes him uniquely dangerous to keep alive. The MCU has repeatedly preserved characters who can be rewritten, relocated, or restored. Sam can't. His death doesn't fracture timelines. It doesn't destabilize reality. It just closes a thread cleanly. That makes him expendable in a way no one else is. If someone has to die without consequences, it's him. Not in a sacrifice, not saving the day, not as a symbol. His death happens because the event doesn't care who he is. Doomsday doesn't kill gods or anomalies first. It starts with the characters the universe doesn't need to protect. And that's what makes it unsettling. Sam doesn't fall at a climax or turning point. He's simply caught in motion, removed before the story slows down enough to notice what it just lost. Shuri will approach every threat the same way she always does, analyzing systems, isolating flaw, and engineering solutions, but the multiverse will no longer operate on rules that can be calculated or optimized. By the time Doomsday arrives, timelines will compress faster than she can adapt. Realities will shift before solutions are implemented, and technology, her greatest strength, will struggle to keep pace with a system that no longer rewards preparation. Every invention, every protocol she develops will arrive one step behind a universe that has already rewritten itself. She will attempt to stabilize events, reroute energy flows, and protect critical variables, but each adjustment will generate new instabilities. The very tools that once made her indispensable will now produce diminishing returns, leaving her struggling to solve problems that have already ceased to exist in any meaningful way. Shuri will not fall in battle. She will not fail because she lacks skill. She will fail because the multiverse will no longer recognize the kind of problems she was trained to solve. Her ingenuity, her intelligence, her technology, they will all be irrelevant against an inevitability that moves too fast, too wide, and too indifferent. In the end, Shuri will discover that even brilliance cannot outpace a universe that has decided what must be removed, and that being the solution is no longer the same as being necessary. Deadpool will survive not because he fights better or plans smarter, but because he does not obey the system. The multiverse will not recognize him as a threat. Every action he takes will introduce variables no timeline can calculate, events that ignore probability, and consequences that rewrite themselves before anyone can react. Logic will fail, rules will fail, narrative causality will bend around him. His presence alone will create unpredictable loops, forcing outcomes that were supposed to be fixed to reconsider themselves, destabilizing the very architecture of Doomsday before it can reach completion. By the time Doomsday arrives, even a single act, joking, breaking the fourth wall, or simply surviving, will ripple across collapsing realities, forcing recalculations that no cosmic enforcer can fully manage. Deadpool will not win Doomsday by strength. He will change the outcome simply by existing, forcing the multiverse to hesitate and perhaps even fail at enforcing inevitability, creating openings that no other hero could replicate or exploit. Beyond that, his unpredictability will infect the sequence of events like a virus, exposing weaknesses the universe itself had overlooked, making it impossible for Doomsday to maintain absolute control. Every plan, every fatal trajectory will have to adapt to his presence. And even momentary interference from Deadpool will generate a cascade of changes that could alter which characters survive.